Hello, Skorpios Builder Blog. I'm Bunny. My robot Malice has hacked Zach's computer, and I'm here for a malicious takeover. We were here during week 2 of filming the Battlebots spin-off, Battlebots Face-Offs at Destructathon. The 4 robots competing this weekend were Malice, of course, Jackpot, Lucky, and Disarray, a newbie. As Zach explained prior, having only 4 robots means that they all must fight each other in a round-robin tournament. This means Malice will fight Lucky, Disarray, and Jackpot this weekend. And the robot with the most wins once everyone's fought each other will take home the Face-Offs washer. The one big change that happened from Skorpios weekend last weekend to our weekend this weekend is that judging is now purely done on audience vote, and there is no input from Greg and Trey. We were the first to arrive and got our pick of the 4 pits, but we also brought something additional, the Malice store. We set up to sell stuff for all the teams in our group, and a familiar face. Jackpot was the only other robot to take us up on the offer to sell items for them, and they made these adorable little girl boss sticker sets. This weekend, we brought David, and David in training, Brian, and Brandon with us, as well as 3 Mali. We set up and got right to work getting our first 2 fight robots ready, and Lucky arrived next. Lucky came all the way from Canada to be here. Remember, BattleBots isn't paying for anything during these tournaments. Not hotel, not flights, and not even the shipping for thousands of pounds of robots and tools you need to be able to make this weekend run successfully. So it was really a treat to get to see Lucky. After Lucky, Disarray arrived late that night while we went to see the Tournament of Kings, so I didn't get video of them arriving, but I got to see some awesome jousting and flame-throwing staffs, which we on Malice are definitely taking notes for, since those things make my smoking gloves seem like child play. But I did get to meet the Disarray team Friday morning, and oh my goodness, I am in love with them. They are the funniest team that I have ever met. Every time I walked by their pits, I couldn't leave without hearing a joke that would crack me up. Friday morning, Jackpot rolled in while I was at lunch. Why does this keep happening so I don't get footage? But oh well. I got some really good cat hugs as soon as I got back, and I love all of them. Take a second to listen to Big Red's death metal hum. Feel it in your feet? Yeah. I love feeling it. Like you just feel. We got through safety, and since the show is at 6 p.m., everyone else was busy getting through functional and testing, and we all just enjoyed working together in the same space. It really does bring this wonderful energy into your world when everyone is working in their own area, but together. The Malice team was pretty relaxed since my husband David and I had spent the last 2 months getting our specific Mali ready for their specific opponents. And we were pretty confident that we had guessed everyone's performance pretty well and wouldn't need to make any last-minute adjustments. But then we saw Jackpot fight, and I immediately told my husband everything went out the window, and I demanded that we run 2 forks against Jackpot on Sunday. All the discussion about this would have to wait, though, because we had to fight Lucky first. You'll have to wait for BattleBots to release our fights on their YouTube channel to hear about how that fight went and everything about it. But I do want to talk about the changes we made to Malice from the previous BattleBots World Championship 7 to this new Face-Offs competition. We were testing a lot for the first time in this box. In the previous World Championship, we left off as the number 1 ranked horizontal, but we did have some issues with our design that needed to be addressed. First, because our forks were loose, they ended up stabbing into the floor after we got flipped by whiplash during an awkward angle, and we were unable to get off the wall. So we decided that we would make sure they would stay at a specific angle this time by adding springs to the fork. I think this will give us a huge advantage over Lucky and other opponents since most people choose to use a large wedge against horizontals, as it really does give them the most protection. Another huge change that I completely redesigned was our pulley system, because last year our bearings kept shattering and our pulley spider kept having the legs snap off where they were connected to the actual weapon. To reduce the leverage on our bearings, I removed them from inside the middle of our weapon and moved them into a single piece pulley that we won't have to assemble together, which will hopefully reduce the stress on the legs and give us more transfer of energy into the actual weapon instead of the bearings themselves. This major weapon redesign has never seen the battle box before, and that's always scary. We will see how it holds up when BattleBots uploads our fights to YouTube. After the fight with Lucky, we were pretty relaxed because we had already gone through functional and safety with the frame that we were going to use against Disarray. But we did need one last-minute print made for the frame, and the only people who brought a 3D printer to the pits were our opponent, Disarray. Luckily, they were happy to print me an engagement ring, which fit perfectly on the frame we were going to use to fight them, which allowed us time to focus on getting ready for the Jackpot fight on Sunday. The frame we had brought to fight against Jackpot had weight for only one fork when running Big Red against them as is, and so the weapon brace we had on the frame only had one fork mount. After watching the fight, I told David I wanted to use the weapon brace from the Lucky fight since it had both fork mounts, and we would need to use the much more expensive titanium bolts that we had custom made to get the weight needed to run both forks. We hate fighting Jackpot because it's never an inexpensive fight, and it looks like we won't be able to save money on this face-offs competition with them either. We went to work on the Malice we used during the Lucky fight and got the forks and face repainted to red from the purple they were since we were using Slamethyst against Lucky. We also got the 2-fork Malice ready to go against Jackpot so we wouldn't have to do any work after the fight against Disarray on Saturday. Yay! We had 3 fully functional robots in our pits once again and went to bed much later than we were supposed to be going to bed, but more confident. Saturday rolls around and the show is at 2 p.m. instead of 6, which meant I had to get up early, which at my age is super hard, but I powered through it and we got up to play Pokemon in the pits while we were waiting for the show since all we had to do was roll Malice out of the arena that we had left it in overnight. Lucky was fighting Jackpot today and we were fighting Disarray. Once again, I'm not able to give you these fight details, but you won't want to miss the BattleBots YouTube of these fights. After watching Jackpot fight against Lucky, I got this icky feeling in the pit of my stomach, and I demanded that my husband listen to me and change to our faster drive motors. I asked the team to sacrifice their nightly plans to stay late and completely rebuild the robot that they had just rebuilt yesterday to help us change from our 16-to-1 gearboxes to our 12-to-1 gear reduction gearboxes to give us the extra speed we needed to fight Jackpot and make my gut stop yelling at me. David was our only holdout, but I convinced him using the old Jim Ye wisdom, it'll only take 30 minutes. It ended up taking 3.5 hours. I'm glad we spent that time, though, because Jeff ended up stealing our intro that we worked really hard on for the fight against him since we were practicing in the pits, and he was right there listening. And he was able to walk out first. Rude, Jeff, rude. Here's a video of Brian practicing in the pits with Jeff immediately behind me, staring at us the entire time. You can listen to Jeff's version when it's released on the BattleBots YouTube.
I like that. Okay, you can do it.
What did I say? We came to get lucky. We left in disarray. Now it's time to win the jackpot.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard from Malice just now that Zach's regaining control of his computer. You'll have to wait until BattleBots releases these fights on their YouTube channel to see how those changes work out. Signing off, this is Malice and Bunny. Good luck, Skorpios blog.
Hey there, Builder Blog. This week, Diane and I are taking a little R&R, because last week we went to Face-Off, we did the thing, and you're going to love that episode when it comes out. It's a wild Dan. And now Dan does the coveted sneak attack. This is why we can't take you anywhere, Dad.
No, this is why we can take him everywhere.
And I have another special treat for you. Nick, the captain of Manta, has agreed to record next week's episode. So please make sure to like and subscribe. Come back so you can see the third week of Face-Off 2 with Manta and all the awesome rookies. And